Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the things I wish I knew before working as a commercial interior designer. So I graduated from college with a BFA in interior architecture, and prior to graduation I had about 6 months of an internship working as a commercial interior designer at an architecture firm, which then transitioned into a full-time position as a designer, because technically I'm not a certified interior designer, so I was classified as a designer one, working as a designer at an architecture firm full-time. But these are just a couple of things that I feel like people in that space where they're just about to graduate from an interior design or interior architecture program and are curious as to what it's like to work in the commercial side of things. I know we have a lot of people who talk about the residential side, but I think it will be interesting for people to really hear what it's like or what you should know before you decide on getting into the commercial space of interior design. So the first thing that I would say is just getting in from internship stage all the way to full-time stage, because you don't have a lot of experience. One thing that I realized is there was a lot of busy work that I got tasked with. Not to say that I did like the busy work, I just feel like get ready for a lot of busy work, tasks that are repetitive, get ready to stare at a lot of interior elevations. But I feel like that's all done intentionally to really build the amount of things that you would need to know to get you to a level where you can be promoted to designer 2, designer 3, a design leader, so on and so forth, just climbing the interior design corporate ladder, so to speak. So yeah, get ready for a lot of small tasks that make you feel like a small cog in the machine that is the architecture and design space. Yeah, and so the second thing that I think that I wish I knew So the second thing that I thought that I wish I knew, the second thing that I wish I knew before I jumped into the commercial interior design space is the mental challenges that come with the profession. Coming from school, you're used to having an idea of what your timetable looks like from semester to semester or from quarter to quarter, and you have a good idea of what's going to be there just even based off of the curriculum that the professors give you at the beginning of each course. So you're able to manage your workload, basically. But when it comes to the commercial space, if you work at a successful firm or a firm that's pretty big, or even mid-size to big firms, they're probably going to be taking on a ton of projects because they want to, be profitable. So you take on more projects, the more money you make. So with more projects, that means more work for you. So being able to manage those projects, to be able to juggle back and forth and be able to maintain the deadlines for each of the projects is something that I knew was coming, but I didn't know how crazy it would get. And so being able to manage yourself mentally so that you can be able to get all the work done on time and get it done well and be thorough with your work where there's minimal mistakes, because believe me, when you're starting out, you're gonna make mistakes. It's expected. But being able to exercise that muscle of being flexible and understanding when deadlines are coming up for different projects, and then also make time for yourself outside of work and not let that you're thinking of, oh my God, this project seep into your time at home or your time over the weekends. So yeah, being able to understand that interior design, commercial interior design can take a toll on your mental well-being. Another thing that I wish I knew is interior design is a highly collaborative profession. So with any given project, especially in the commercial side, it's not just the interiors team that's touching a project, although there are projects that can just be interior design specific. Working at an architecture firm, most projects had architectural elements to them and also included like engineering, structural electrical, depending on what the project scope was. So being able to internally within your team be able to collaborate within different studios. So interior design team collaborating with architectural studio teams, and then also external communication with the other disciplines, electrical, structural, and mechanical, is key. Being able to portray what is expected, what they expect of you, understand what they expect of you, and also what ideas you have for the project is key. Being able to communicate that well with your team is key. So don't expect to work on a project and nobody come check on you until the end. It's gonna be a constant communication back and forth, push and pull of what's going on in the project. In the real world, you're talking about the projects on a regular basis. So being able to be on top of communication and collaboration is key. Another thing that I think that it didn't even cross my mind when I graduated and took a full-time position as an interior designer is sometimes the original intent of the original design intent of a project may not really hit the mark at the end because of a plethora of reasons. For example, one reason would be budget. Not all projects are funded the same, and so coming up with a design idea that would solve a problem and would, have a specific type of look and feel could easily be shifted to the left or to the right on the spectrum if we're not able to afford that type of a material. We're not able to even touch that specific space because this is the amount of money that we are allowed to touch. So that's just one of the things that can shift the design intent of a project, and that's expected. You're supposed to be able to be quick on your feet and understand that anything can happen in a project that can change the design ideas, the initial design ideas, and you need to be able to be flexible enough to go with the flow as far as fixing it as close to the design intent is concerned. Another thing that I think that I sort of knew that this was expected, but I believe that it's something that I would want to point out is that you're always going to be learning in this profession. There's always going to be new building materials that are more innovative, that are more sustainable, that are coming out, and you will notice that there's manufacturers that will be reaching out and interested in coming to show off and teach you and your colleagues the different things that you could incorporate into your design projects to help make them more sustainable and more innovative. Another thing is CAD software. CAD software is ever changing. There's from AutoCAD to Rhino to SketchUp to Morpholio Trace to there's so many different software programs that are new ones that keep coming up and keep being updated. So being able to stay on top of the new software and be able to be flexible enough to learn some of the new softwares is something that you should just get used to, because there's always going to be improvements when it comes to software. And then one thing also is building code changes. Building code changes, at least in the state of California, change every 3 years. So that's something that you would also want to stay on top of when you're designing to code. Another thing that I want to point out is interior designers really don't get the amount of credit they deserve within the architecture and design space as they need based on the amount of work that they do. I could be wrong with people who maybe have had experience at other architecture firms and even people who work at predominantly interior design firms or interior architecture firms. But that's just based off of my observations. If you have any thoughts or experiences that you would like to share as far as recognition is concerned, or anything else that I've touched on in this video, feel free to jump in the comments and let me know. I would love to hear what your experiences have been so far. And even if it's not in the commercial space, it's in the residential space, feel free to drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I do believe that interior designers in general, even professionally, don't get the same respect or recognition as architects or engineers get. A great example is interior designers are not allowed in most states in the United States to sign off on construction documents for permitting. They would have to, if they did, they would have to get an architect or an engineer to put a signature on it, rather than just them doing it themselves. So even I'm sure that I think the last I checked, they haven't gotten it passed in California, but there is conversation around getting the interior design profession to be able to be up to be able to get the licensure, to be able to sign off on documentation, to be able to get permits signed off on. And that would only elevate the profession. The last and final thing I want to talk about is the amount of pay that you get as an interior designer. Obviously, out of work, like most entry-level positions, you're not expecting to be making a gazillion dollars within your first year of working in whatever field that you're working in. But just in general, based off of my salary that I've received, and just in comparison to my colleagues, people who work in the industry who I graduated with, you're gonna have to be saving your money. You're gonna have to. It's gonna be a certain amount of time before you're able to leverage your experience, leverage your skill set, leverage your know-how to be able to negotiate a raise or look for a bump or a bonus in your salary. And so it's not the most high-paid job, but I will say it is definitely a fulfilling job if this is something that you truly want to do, if this is something that you know would fulfill you career-wise. Working in the commercial interior design space can do a lot of good, because just in general, commercial interior design encompasses all of the spaces that we share communally. I'm talking education, that's schools. I'm talking healthcare, hospitals. I'm talking civic areas, which is like city halls, those kinds of spaces, museums, libraries. These are spaces that bring people together, that allow people to share spaces and feel confident and excited to move through and into these kinds of spaces. And you would be doing a lot of good by contributing your design skills and your design know-how to get those kinds of spaces to be habitable, to be safe, and to be enjoyable to be in. So those are the things that I wish I knew before I joined the commercial interior design space. If you have anything that you wish you knew and I missed out, or I just haven't had any experience with, feel free again to jump in the comment section and share with me. Other than that, that's all I have for you today, and I will see you next time. Bye.